Yes, people, safe. Oh, look, I've got a green, the old green t-shirt trick. All right, well, we're just going to look a bit speckly today then, I guess. That's the way the cookie crumbles. So welcome. One and all. We're back at it again. It's some more Game Boy, Game Jam, Game Dev. I look like the water shader, yeah. Jokes. All right, cool. Well, let's do this thing. Let's get into it. So, we've got a workout for us here. The cool thing is you'll be able to see the variables that I'm editing that are underneath me. You see when I'm like adjusting the shader settings down in the bottom right, you're going to be able to see it. Jack Collie, how are you? Hope you're well. But big ups. Alright, boom. So I just opened up the project since the last push that Pete did yesterday, and I was just sort of straightening up some of the errors that we were getting. There was a few broken links in some of these scripts, like there were just like references to nodes that I guess we're not actually referencing anymore, and they'd been moved around. And the same in the, was it in the Epic Door? We got rid of the mask layer. So then some of these other links here were broken. So anyway, so we fixed those. And we could start with the enum stuff here, to be fair. But I've got the floating head look suits you. Nice. I've got a list of things I've been working on here. So I think we should be able to get water going now. That's probably the first priority. And then I'm going to basically make a placeholder for every level. We're going to make like a level template, which is kind of the sandbox. The sandbox is sort of the level template, but it needs tidying. There's a lot of there's 3 different versions of the water, but we've landed on the tile map. And so I've got an idea for something we could do with the tile map for the water as well. Which would be cool. At some point, I would love to see your games on Steam. Man, so would we. So would we. So we'll hopefully make that happen. But look at this torch that Pete made. It's pretty cool. And then when we pick up the idle, the lights go off, which is pretty nice. Right now it's behind some water. You can see we've got our ripply water effect going as well, which is quite nice. I think that's pretty good, to be honest. I think it looks nice the way it is. We could try and make it a little bit wavier maybe. But I think it's pretty good. So if But there's all these other copies of the water. This is the thing. So there's this, and also remember like that we need the area. We need to be able to if we look at the water area, it's on layer 5. So we need to put a physics layer on this tile map for layer 5, which should be fine. Then we have this shader and this and this. So I think all this can go. Then we can just delete that version of the water. What's that down there? That's a water tile. Okay. So we just delete that. And all of this. And maybe we'll just put like just a nice amount of water there like that. Just so we can see what we're looking at here. And we'll call it water buffer here, I guess. Water buffer copy or whatever you want to call it, something like that. That looks good. This water 2 here, this can also go. This is an old version, so we get rid of that. And then we have our light masks here as well, which sort of need playing with a bit. But we can work that out in a bit. But yeah, that's tidied things a little bit. Let's have a look at the water again here. It's funny with the torch behind the water. Obviously, that's not going to be a thing. But how we get the animated top to it is a little challenge we can think about. But for now, I mean, the tile map helps keep it scalable. That's the good thing. When will the next Minecraft live be? So this game jam's going on until Monday. So we're just, any live streaming I do is going to be game development until then. And then we'll be back to the hardcore Terra Firma Craft run that we're in the middle of. You're working on the animated top as we speak. Oh, cool. Okay, well, I will leave that to you then, Pete. That's fine. Yeah, okay. So I think what all we need to do then is, with this water, the tile map here, is add to the tile set a physics layer on layer 5. Okay, and then paint physics and pop that on there. And now we should be underwater. No. Bugger. Okay. I don't know if we used, or we'll just paint it onto them all. I'm a little surprised that didn't work. That should be now on collision layer 5 on water, and the player has the water detection looking at number 5, and in the player's script, handle water. Bodies now. It's bodies. Because tile maps are bodies, not areas. Or the tiles in a tile map are bodies, not areas. Yes! Yeah, it's working. Good. Good, good, good. Okay, so now we can paint water into the world with this. So that's great. So it probably makes sense to save that as a scene inside water. Call it water. We'll just call it water scene. Like that, okay? Nice. So I want to get to the point where everything in this is a scene. And everything apart from the light masks is a scene now. So that's good. We're in a good spot there. So these light masks, they've got a Z index of 1. Okay, this torch. Oh, Dan, thanks for the raid. Much appreciated. Big up yourself. And thanks for the follow. Big up yourself twice. And happy Thursday to you all. How was the stream? Yummy, big ups. How are you? We are... Shall I give you a little bit of an intro to the game we're making here? Let me move this as well. Oopsie. I want to move this guy down so I can show you the moods. So we're making like a sort of puzzly platformery thing, where you've got to kind of return this like sort of cursed idol back to the temple you got it from, because it's causing you so much bad luck. So we have these lighting areas which we're going to use to create some atmosphere. See, we've got 4 colors, Game Boy game, but then if you come in here, you see it like kind of compresses the palette down to 3 colors, makes everything a shade darker. So these are like for darker areas. And then we've got, you know, buttons and doors and things. And then when you pick up the idol, everything goes bad. So the lights all go off. See, the enemies moves twice as fast. There's various other things. The dart gun there shoots the darts faster. So on and so forth. So the idea is you've got to navigate these areas. Get the... Oh yeah, and this is water. Look at that shader we have under when you're underwater. Pretty nice, huh? And then at the end of each level, there's a plinth. You put the idol on the plinth, and the big door opens, and you get out the temple, and woo, you can fall forever. So yeah, so we've got some cool stuff going on. You thought it was Wednesday? Oh man, I have no idea what day of the week it is. Don't you worry. You recently did that for your game. Oh, cool. The art's great. Nice one. Thanks. Yeah, we're getting there. We are getting there. I've got the water going now. Like, it's instanceable and it's scalable. And yeah, we haven't yet got the level adjustments connected from buttons, but that's probably, well, that is going to be pretty easy. That's just a position thing. So I guess let's open this scene and give it a script. Oh yeah, look, so okay, yeah. We want to just get rid of that. It'd be nicer if this scene is just empty, like by default. So we'll save that, which will get rid of the water probably, and let's move this down to here where we can see what we're doing. That's got rid of the water there. That's fine. So I'm thinking what we need to do is just give this a script so that we can throw coffee mode. Buffers the entire screen. Yeah, so it doesn't matter about its position, I guess. It just does it. Wash the dishes and start adulting. Oh man, don't tell me about it. Don't remind me. But yeah, no worries. And thanks so much for the raid and dropping in. Much appreciated. Much appreciated indeed. Right. So I'm just thinking we just add a script to this, kind of like all of our other things have, that we can then move stuff around with. So like in a way that the dart trap, I mean, the dart trap's probably too complicated a version. Probably we just want to look at maybe the torch, actually, because the torch is a pretty basic thing. So water scene, it's going to have a reference to the player. It's going to connect to the signals, and then it's got, oh no, hold on, this isn't right. This, we don't want it connect. This is not right. It's not about that. It's the stuff we want to copy is the stuff the door has. Turn on and turn off. Simply turn on and turn off. And then we can use it to be connected to buttons. So if we come in here and we just let's give some export variables. And it's going to be like the offset, the water level offset equals like 0 by default, yeah? So then, is it there? It's not there. Why? No, I guess just because the script is still giving errors, it hasn't managed to like actually process the export variable yet. Yes, there it is. Okay, that's fine. And so basically when we turn on, we want to lerp the Y position to whatever water level offset is, and then we turn off, we lerp it back to 0. So we're just going to say global position lerp to global position, and then a constant here would be good. So speed, we'll just put 10 for now, I don't know. Yami mentioned that I've done some Game of Star games already, and so I still need to finish. Oh yeah, tell me about that game. What's the vibe? What's the vibe? So we'll take the global position of the whole thing, and we lerp it to the global position dot y. We can just deal with y, and then we say dot y plus offset at speed. Can't if I remember lerp in base float. Am I not remember? Can't I just lerp anything? What's the deal with lerp? Oh, we need to do lerp f maybe. Yeah, okay, so I guess because global positions are floats, we need to lerp f. Wait, also though, this doesn't work because lerping is something we have to do over time, but this is just going to be triggered once. Okay, so have a variable called state, and it will be false, and then have our process. I guess it can just be normal process. I don't think it needs to have anything to do with physics involved. And we'll just say if state, then we're doing this, and here we say state is true, and here we'd say it's false, and then if state lerp to that, we just want to lerp to the offset, right? Hold on, I'm still getting confused. From to, and then wait. But what, like, this is global scope. I don't know why we wouldn't be allowed to lerp here. And we need this as a second, like it needs to be like that. Those are the three arguments. I guess it's because it's just a function on its own, so we should just do that. Yes, that's right. So we're setting this to alert between that and that at that speed, and then if not, then like we do the opposite, and we bring the offset back to 0. Okay. So now this should be set up. So now if I come into the sandbox and we draw, I say editable children to get into the tile set there. That's fine though. And then we grab some tiles, we paint them on. Something like that. And then we take this button and we put the water buffer copy in there, and then we move the button to down here or something, to right there. Now, will this work? If I stand on the button, oh no, it's not going to move, and I know why. Because we haven't set the offset to anything. So if the offset was -32, then it will go up 2 tiles when we step on it. Maybe. Or everything will break. It's quite interesting. Why would everything break? I'm guessing because we're moving this, and maybe we should just be moving the tiles. What? I was not expecting that. We have a mystery on our hands. I mean, I guess speed is really high. Should this be like 0.75 or something? There we go. Yeah, that's better. So I think this number was just so insanely high, it was probably just making it dart all around everywhere. I think we probably want it to be like maybe 0.3 something. Let's see. But that's still insanely fast. 0.1. I want it to be quite fast. But like, yeah, something like that is better. Maybe even a little bit slower than that. You could move the back buffer. I was moving the back buffer. Now I'm just moving the tile map itself. I think that's pretty good. That speed. But why don't we try going back to moving the whole back buffer? Because I'm not sure that was the problem. I think the problem was just how high that speed number was. Moving the whole thing feels tidier. Yeah. Okay, so water can now easily be linked to buttons, and we just simply have this one export variable, which is the amount by which we want it to increase or decrease when the button's powered. So that's finished, and it works. So yeah, this is all very good. And that's a scene now as well. The sandbox tile map is a scene, which I find interesting because, yeah, we want to make some sandbox tile maps in there. Then we want to make a few tile maps. So I'll probably make some new ones. But then the light masks here as well. These should probably be scenes in their own right. You know, we can just throw any texture we like on there. So I think by default they should just both have this texture. I think that makes sense. Oh wow. Why aren't these linked? That's so weird. Just one and link them. Is that one so weird? One and link. Just check those still working like normally, just because messing with those things can sometimes mess stuff about, but that's good. That's all bright and breezy over there. And this torch is behind the player, whereas this light affects the player. I mean, I guess that's okay. Yeah, and the dark area seems to work too. Okay, cool. But these should really be their own things. And now, one question is why... You know, this is Z-index 1 as well. Okay, fine. Same as the light masks is. So... that means it can live up here. And it's still totally fine. I think all of these things can go. As can the epic floor and the trapped floor. Epic door and trapped floor. And the torch we might as well leave in because we're probably going to use those in most levels. Actually, no, we'll delete it. I just want the stuff that is going to be in every single level. Like all of our tile maps. The plinth is there. I guess the plinth needs a door. We haven't properly made doors yet. Very nicely. But for now, yeah, I think I want to work on these guys. So we've got the water buffer in there. That's good. I've been clicking on this video for a minute and think, why can't I select that light? Yeah. It's like having an out of body experience in Godot. Oh, right, 2 seconds, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Back to it. Mosta, hello. Raids. I hope you're well. I guess we'll need to instantiate different doors at different levels. For now, this is kind of everything that a level is going to contain. I want to make the light... I guess these should just be made into scenes. And then we can delete them out of the light masks back buffer. And then this is like a perfect template for a level. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this and save it as a scene in... Let's put it all in the torch. Dark light masks there, boom. And this one, save as a scene. Bright light mask. Okay. And now they can go. This thing isn't really set up as anything apart from it just has... Why is it transform, not 0, 0? I swear, Pete, every time like you do a push and I get a version from you, there's just so many things where you've like accidentally dragged something off the origin. I just always find things that are like just positioned all around. It is fucking annoying though, Godot, for that. It happens to me as well a lot. I'm always just like, why? No, it's fine, don't I? Just like, why are all these... This is my own like weird OCD about it. Not that I have like legitimate OCD, but you know what I mean. Just like, just see things that aren't on the origin, and I just feel compelled to move them back to 0, 0. Okay, so cool. So I think this is the next port of call, because this tile map is demos, and that's all it's been doing for us. But what we want to do is, I think we want to make a couple of layers. I want to have a background that's just a looping texture for each of our locations. So let's start with that. So we're probably best to make a new file here, which is going to be 48 tiles wide and 16 high, which will give us the 3. And then we want to do like a jungle one, ruins one, and then the temple background. So I mean, the temple background could just be black. That could be kind of fun. Just like very, very dark and dingy. Anyway, these can all be changed further down the line as well. But let's just get something going here. So like, I want them to look like leaves, right? So I wonder if this would do. Well, I mean, is this tileable? I guess is the next question. And does it look like leaves? That's not because it's 3 pixels long, that pattern. But if I was to sort of do that, and then, oh come on, fill those in, put that there. It's 3 high, but I guess we could make it 4 high like this. And then like that. And then we just want to displace this each time so like maybe this would be there on that one. And copy and paste that in there. And then let's displace it this way maybe. On this occasion, put that there. Doof, doof, doof. And then we want it sort of like there. So we probably want to do it like that. So that should just look like leaves in the background. Whatever. These might end up just being too noisy as well, these textures, so we can like we might want to change them, but whatever. They're like decent placeholders for now. And so what I'm thinking is then this world should have that as its backdrop, and this sort of that is hard to see because of the grey being the transparent colour. Yeah, so like the ruins. I mean, what would ruins, like backgrounds of ruins look like? The very back layer. Should maybe just be like a couple of lines like this, you know? It'll probably look very repetitive, but let's just do that for now. And then in the actual temple itself, I think like really dark bricks in the background is probably the best bet for us. So we sort of want to be like, and maybe quite large bricks as well. So I would suggest we do something along these lines. Is that halfway? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yay! So like that. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Boom. And then let's like soften the edges with. Oh yeah, okay. It's a bit weird, isn't it? I don't know what we can do here. Well, we could just do that. And I guess that. Is that right? I think that's right. I think that's going to be quite nice looking. And we could put like a little highlight on the top of each brick like that. Let's just go with this for now. So we'll save that. Elements. Oh no, I don't want to save the A-sprite file in there. So let's save the A-sprite file in our A-sprite folder. We'll call it unlucky tiles. And then let's export this as a sprite sheet. And let's put it in Temple of Misfortune, Elements, World, Background Tiles, Export. Okay, sweet. Now let's get these going in here. So we'll create a new tile map. Nope, not a tile map. A new tile map layer. Background tiles. Do we want it as a tile map though? Because it could just be a texture rect. We'll do it as a tile map, I think. So we can use the same object in every level. Tile set. Background tiles. Yes. That's it. That's all we need to do. Okay. And those can go there, behind everything. Okay, and then we'll save it as a scene in I guess in world, background tiles scene, save. And then I'm going to get rid of the sand. Am I going to get rid of this? We've got some other files that Rob sent yesterday to put in some tile maps, although I need to put them through tile setter first. So let's open them up. Stone platform. We've got grass soil. And rock floor. Okay, so I guess a little bit more Sprite work to do then on these. So if I bring some of these in here. Then we'll get tile setter going in a minute. That's not even... That's 2.5 tiles long. Okay. So's that. So what dimensions is this file? 80 by 96. Okay. Well, 96 is multiples of 16. I suppose 80. They're both these are multiples of 16, aren't they? But 5 times 16 is 80. And then so this is 5 by 6 tiles. Yeah, I don't know how easy this is going to be to use. We might have to sort of improvise here a bit. Let's go back over to this file here and make a new layer where we can see the shapes of things. And then let's just take this and just paste it in. And then we can have a look at what we want to do here. So let's do that bit there. I think that looks cool. I can just get rid of that and get rid of all of that, I suppose. I want one too far. I think that's one too few. That's the full 16, isn't it? Because if I go that way, we see it, and if we go that way, we see it. Perfect. Okay, so that's like that's a top piece that we can use. It's really fat, but that's probably cool. And then get rid of that and that. And then we probably just want to go like that for this tile. Have a look at some of these details that are quite nice. Like, maybe get a few of those in there, I don't know. Let me just copy that and paste it on here and see what it looks like. Yeah. Let's do that. Maybe move some of these around a bit, so they feel a little bit more spreaded out. That's going to create quite a repeating pattern there. I get rid of that one. Yeah, I think that'll look cool. Okay, and then we need our beloved friend tile setter, which isn't in the quick launch area. Haven't used tile setter in a while. but this is the definitive way. If you haven't seen Tile Setter before, this is the definitive way of making anything, really. So what I want to do, just get rid of all of these, whatever it was I was working on before. Grass and stuff, it looks like. And so what we do is we grab our center tile, which is this, and we throw it down. And we grab our sort of like edge piece, which is this. And then you want this one to be like somewhere in the middle here, and you go build borders blob. And then in here we throw in our edge and our edge and our edge and our edge. And now we have a full tile set here that we can use. And then we can export it as an image, which can go into here, elements, world, and we'll call this stone tiles. Okay, save. Is that a PNG that it's created there, just to check? Yes, it is. Perfect. Okay, so that looks lovely. And then we'll make a new layer here. We'll get rid of that. And now we can start to salvage something from these next. And so we could use different edges, you see, for up, down, left and right edges, which I guess we should do. But the first, I mean, this is huge. This is 5 tiles a lot wide, as is this one. So yeah, they're too big really to be properly usable. Let's take this. Let's take this bit here and just see what we can do with that. Yeah, so that looks cool. So we'll pop that in there and we'll just fill it in. Okay, and then let's get a piece of grassy top, and we'll get a piece of like scully top, and hopefully that will kind of work for us. Okay, so I think that's going to be too big, but I can also resize it. I think that's cool. It's so hard to see. Where our transparency is. Yeah, because this doesn't look very grassy anymore. Maybe if that's better. And then we sort of want this to like fade out, I suppose, a bit of dithering, something like that. I think that'll be cool. And then the rock floor, we're going to do where the best skull is, which is probably like, I think that bit or something. Line that up there. Scroll it all down. Now, it's probably not going to loop just perfectly, but doesn't look like it's going to be too bad. Let's just find out, and we can obviously remove. Although maybe we don't want to. Maybe we want to leave that black in and just remove these bottom bits here, because that black, we want it to cover up these potential rocks to give that kind of scully texture. Okay, so now let's make these into tiles in Tilesetter as well. So we'll copy that and pop it down here and make the blob and do another one and make a second blob. Then we want to get this guy, pop it there, and this guy, pop it there, and then we can apply these things. So we want like that to go there, and for this one we want that one to go there, and that'll be all right. And then we probably want like those alternate edges, right? We want like a bit of that. So just grab that. We'll do it like this. Get rid of those. And get rid of that. That and that. And that and that. Copy that in. Pop that like there maybe. And then we should be able to use it for all these sides. Ah, interesting. Okay. So no, let's unassign that or whatever. And then what we want is for this to be pointing upwards. So it's just rotate 90 counterclockwise, because all the rotation is set up to automatically take something that's facing upwards. So then if I put that in there, it will be facing the right way, and there. And there. Right, now it doesn't loop. We've got to make something that loops. Of course, this just got a big hard edge on it. That's a no-no. That'll be better. In fact, we can probably smooth that out even more like that, I would say. Okay, let's try that again. Cool. Down here we'll do the same. And then export image, grass, tiles, and export image, skull tiles. If we look at our list of art that needed doing here, we've done the backgrounds now. And we've done, well, it wasn't dirt, stone and wood in the end. We've ended up with grass, stone and skull, which is great. That's totally legit. And then these background tile sets would be fun to make too. Just to paint in some details and stuff. So I'm going to work on those just quickly now. So we'll make a new layer here. And looking at these backgrounds. So if what I think would be nice would be to have like a background like this, where we just have a couple of those white shapes on, like what we had in the background, which we can't see there, like that, those kinds of shapes that look like sort of leaves. And then we have, yeah, some kind of a leafy edge here. Is that loopable? Perfect. And we'll go all along there. Oops. Like that. Blob it up. Baby, blob it up. And this should just look like bushes basically in the background that we can draw nice big pictures with and shine lights on and through and things like that. Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll look great. So then export image, and we'll call this one. So we've got BG tiles, grass, skull and stone, and then this one's going to be like BG jungle. Or do we just call it leaves? Leaf tiles. Leaf tiles. Boom. All right, next. So that's like the background jungle tile set done. Then ruins and temples. Yeah, okay, so we can come back here and look again at what's going on. So the ruins I just did like that. So yeah, they could be something kind of based on this color as a backdrop. Maybe some of these lines in, like we had before. And then some kind of like crumbly edge, I guess. So we sort of want something like okay, let's just manually fill it in. Something like that. Yeah. And then copy that. Build a blob. Copy that. Just had an idea though. Wouldn't it be cool if we had like a straight edge, like this? Then if anything, it's got like a bit of that kind of vibe to it. And then we use that for the sides. So like yeah, that looks wicked. It's like bark, isn't it? It's like crazy sort of barky background. There's some funny curves that it's made at the edges, but never mind. I think that looks cool. We'll go with that. So we're gonna export that as an image, and we'll call it ruin or something, ruin tiles. Okay. And then last but not least, something to go alongside these bricks. Which I guess we could probably just totally get away with them being a lighter version of that. So let's make a new layer here. Hide the others. We will go for this light color again, I think, as our background now, and put some of these sort of brick patterns on. One, two, three, four. Like that. Okay. And then I'll just put like a black line on the border there. Just keep it super simple. It just gives us options. I'm just going to remove the cut off here because most of these I've done have been 4, but this one's just literally 1. Yeah, cool. And then we'll pop that in as an image. Brick tiles, maybe. Okay, so I think that's probably a good amount of tile setting done now. And we can make a load of tile maps now to build some levels with. Oh. And that takes care of all of that background art, so that's nice. So we just got all the like main foreground items to do, really. Oh yeah, we sort of roughly planned out what all of these 15 levels were going to be last night, so that's cool. That's all on the Miro. Maybe I'll add that on now quickly. Okay, so what we said was place the idle on the plinth there, jump over spikes for level 2, dodge some darts for level 3, crumbling platforms and some water, and then basic barrel on button puzzle. Now for level 6, we would like a barrel on spikes, barrel platform, we introduce the spring spiders here in this level, and then button for water levels. Darts push barrels in that level. More spring spiders, but this time with some water to play with them in. Then barrels on top of dart traps. Crumbling blocks and darts type level where you just got to run through. It's pretty cool. Dart powered barrel on spikes. So what that means is that because the barrels can be pushed by the darts, so we have a level where you have to ride a barrel across some spikes and it's being pushed along by the darts. Then along like treacherous underwater level, and then the final level is a boulder escape race. So we'll need to draw the boulder, so that's another piece of art that needs doing. A giant boulder. Yeah, probably a spot with a U in it. And then this also is a gameplay thing that needs implementing. But the water, I'd say, is done. Like, there's the visual polish of the little bit along the top of it, but basically it's good to go, which is cool. Yeah, cool. So now we should make all our tile maps. So we're going to get rid of the sandbox tile map. Okay. I can move the player over to here. And the idle. And this water can just go. And the plinth can come over here as well. Okay. Okay, and then background tiles. So we can just paint that in like that. Then we need a new tile map layer, not as a child though, please, just here. And we'll call it BG layer 2 tiles. And this one is going to have a few more bits and bobs going on with it. Like the leaves, yes. Like the ruins, yes. And like the bricks, I think I called them. Yes. And they're going to want to have 3 terrain sets, right? Can I just do them in here? Like that? I think so. And then I can come in here, paint terrains 0. I'm going to have to do this 3 times, which is rather annoying. There's got to be a way to like save this, no? Yeah, we're going to have to do this 3 times. Actually, no, we're going to have to do it like 6 times. There's got to be a better way. Anyway, it's a jam. I'm not going to worry about the best way. We just got to blast through it, my friend. The other thing that's annoying is I can't fucking see. Oh, I can't remember. I think it must be this way and that way. It's probably clearer on that set. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, and then with this one, level 3. Okay, so now they're all done, we should be able to come in here and paint some nice backgrounds on the walls. You know? Something like that. But then if we wanted some of this, there it is. Or indeed some of that, although it's not going to look that good at the back there. They can't go over the top of each other, these. We can't layer them. I guess we could if we did multiple layers. How do I see which? Wow. It's very confusing. There we go. I think we're back to the layer that we want. Yeah, we are. Okay. So that's all the backgrounds. And that is as a scene. I'm going to close a load of these things. Right, here we go. Now this, let's just get rid of everything on here actually, so that we can save it as a scene in world, yeah. And there are all of our background tiles. Now, another one. Foreground, or we'll just say platforms. Platform tiles. Okay, and these ones, very similar. So we want the grass in there. Yes. The stone and the skulls. Okay, cool. And then similarly to last time as well, it needs to have a terrain element with 3 elements. Okay, and now we start painting them on. Terrain set 0. And we've got to do the same thing 3 times again. Oh joy. There must be a way of just like saving this setup. I don't know if there is though. It's almost every single game I make, I do this at least once, you know? Which is kind of mad. And then, yeah, often it's like just doing it over and over again, as we are right now. I think it's like that. No, that's incorrect. It's like that. Grand. Now the cool thing is, once I set all this up, if we want to update the artwork, all we've got to do now is update the PNG files and everything will update. So that's quite nice. Because I'm not necessarily convinced everything I've just rushed in the last hour is that good. But we may find that it's all we have. And so getting something in place, I think, is early doors is good. It's something. That looks good. And then for the last time today, okay. Save. Now we can save that as a scene as well. And now we can start to just paint some stuff in and just see what it all looks like. Oh, hold on. Before we paint anything in here, there's something else that all of these tiles need. And that, my friends, is physics. Why would that not open? Maybe it needs to be in here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, and well, 1 and 1 is what we want. And then we come in here and we paint physics on, and we just paint it on to all the tiles. On you, on you, on you. Save. Save. Background layer. Terrain 0. Okay. And This is the grassy one, isn't it? There we go, there's a potential level. Okay. I'm into it. It's not so clear where the floor is. Oh, that's the background poking through, I see. If I did this, we wouldn't have that effect. And then the idea would be that these platform tiles would be up here. Well, at least this side of the plinth. So then when you put that on there, there we go, it just sinks into the ground instead. Perfect. Although, I could go a bit further. So let's open up the scene here, because it's going to be in this animation player. That position there. Let's just make it 40 instead, so that then it kind of overshoots it slightly, which means that when we've got textures like this one that have a bit of transparency at the top of them, that they, yeah, it just fully disappears. Okay, that's cool. And something I wondered about was parallax, but maybe that's just a bit crazy. But like if we put this in a parallax layer, how do you do that again? I think there's just parallax layers, right? So we just put parallax 2D here and throw that guy into it and have the scroll scale be like 0.7. We do get the parallax, but I think for a Game Boy game, I don't think I like the camera scrolling up and down with the player. Well, yeah, on bigger levels, will. So what we did in Gravity Boys for the single screen levels, like this one, the camera was just locked, right? It didn't follow. It wasn't on the player as such. We would just disable the player's camera for those levels, and so then you end up like this on a single screen kind of puzzle, which I think is good for the first few levels, where we just want literally the player to be like, oh, I get it, I put this on there, cool, and then I walk out. So we can just, in code, we can just set it so that like we either enable or disable the player's following camera. But I mean, obviously for like levels that are bigger, the camera will need to follow the player. But what do you think about this parallax? I think firstly, I think we've got it the wrong way around, because the very background should be on the parallax layer, and then this one should feel like it's right next to you. Like that. That gives the proper sense of depth. And we could put this guy on another one. So like 0.9 or something. Then it's really kind of 3D and parallaxy. You like the parallax because it makes the background clearer. It like separates it. I mean, obviously, again, for a single screen level, the camera won't move, so there'll be no parallax. But yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I'll leave those in then. We'll say BG parallax. Double L on parallax, apparently. BG layer 2 parallax. So I think this is pretty much now, this is our, the sandbox this is our like template for any level. Now, here's an idea. On the player script, let's put an export variable. And we'll call it fixed cam. And we'll set it to false by default. And then we don't even have ready function on the player yet. If fixed cam, then cam.enabled is false. So now, when we're building a level, we can just go over to the player here and tick fixed cam, and then that's it, it's fixed. So we can do that in this editor now without having to go into the player scene, or it's like, but it can be, this is for each instance of the player, we can set that for each individual level, rather than having to do anything. And I think this is level 1. This can be level 1, right? We need a door there that then you walk through. Or do we just once, maybe on all the levels that don't have the big doors, maybe the plinth just triggers the next level. It just eats the idle, and then boom, you just teleport to the next level. One thing I do want to do is get this layer 2 terrain here and go around the edges like that. So now we don't see the edges on the edge of the screen. Yeah, that's nicer, isn't it? I also wonder, it might be better to do the opposite. So just because of the way we've set it up, like, what if it was sort of like this? I think that might look nicer. More definition on where the platforms are at the beginning. And then yeah, cool. The other thing is that while we're working on jungle levels, where's my world one? It was this one, isn't it? CRT GB. This was the palette I quite liked for the jungle levels. So it'll start like that. That's maybe a little bit too green. It looks cool though. But I do think that's level 1. I think that's level 1. So we do need to make some way now. We need all the infrastructure. We need this plinth to actually push you into another level. So what we'll do is we'll save. Sandbox is saved anyway. We should have, I think we have like a folder called levels with it in. Yeah, we do. Okay, amazing. For some reason, there's a water shader in there. Let's move that into, isn't there a shaders folder somewhere? Let's move that into the shaders folder. And then we duplicate Sandbox, but we'll call it level 1. And then we'll open that up here. And let's rename that to level 1. And save it. And then that's done. That's level 1 done. And then we can close it, and we can still mess around with Sandbox, and just every time we finish designing a level, we save as and we keep going. This will be cool. So the plinth needs to do something. I think the best way to set this up how about a gate that opens and you walk through it off screen, or a thin door? Yeah. I'm just wondering if the best thing is when the plinth takes the... I mean, it would be nice, wouldn't it, to just have him animate and walk off the screen. So that's one thing to do. And then the other thing is the scene manager. So we look at this script, like at the moment, all it can do is restart the sandbox level. Again, what we sort of probably want is like an array with all the levels in, or a dictionary or something, so that we can keep track of what number level we're on, and then like reload the correct level. Oh, phone call. Bear with me. I'll be right back. Howdy, hi. We're back. Okay, so. Yeah, we have this structure. I guess I just need to start knocking out placeholder menus and things like this. And I guess with our shader, well, let's find out. Look, these are all the menus we want. We want a splash screen, main menu, settings, credits, game over, pause menu. I kind of like the idea of having a pause menu, but it's probably a bit of a stretch goal. I might move that into juice and polish and out of the core menus section here. Level 1's done. Yay! Maybe we should just make a few more levels first. I suppose the problem is the level still doesn't have a proper ending on it. No, let's just get some of this admin-y stuff done, because I feel like I can just blast through that quickly right now. So 2D scene. Splash screen. And I guess in game, let's make a new folder called menus. And then let's save splash screen in there. Main menu. We'll save that in there. These are just blank, yeah, empty screens, that's fine. And then settings. Oh, pardon me. Oi, oi. Right, hold on 2 seconds actually, I'll be right back. Howdy hi. Right, we're back. So we've got splash screen, main menu, settings, credits, and game over. So we need one called credits. And then lastly, game over. Now we're not going to have like a lives and death system. So when I say game over, I mean this is the screen that they'll see when they complete the game. If you complete all 15 levels, it's like thanks for playing. Maybe we should call it that. I'll just call it game over, simpler. Okay, so those are our 5 menus. And for now, I mean, they're all going to want to have a script on them. But for now, we're just going to throw a label down that just says what it says on it. Like this. Put it there. Center and center. Copy that. Save. Paste on there. Nope. Didn't let me copy that. Copy that. Paste. Main menu. Settings. Credits. over. And then if this guy has a script on it, and the script's just going to be like, if this action just pressed start. I mean, what do we have in the input map for start? Enter. Yeah, okay. So if you press start, switch to, from the splash screen, main menu. Doesn't need delta in there. So most of the scripts on most of the things will be like that. Doesn't need to be a tool anymore. The other thing is, do we want like landing, like screens that just say like, you know, project settings, run. Oh yeah, scene manager is what we want, so that should stay there. But then instead of sandbox being the scene that's there, we want splash screen to be the one that's there from the beginning. Except I can't see it. There it is. Okay, now when we run the game. Cool. Okay, cool. We just get the like pixels and everything sorted. Pretty nice. So restart current level is definitely going to be a thing which we'll need to work out in a minute, but switch to main menu will be a thing. If we come into menus here and then we get all of these scenes, like it needs to be with control, I think, to get the full thing. We're never going to want to load the sandbox, so we can get rid of that. Splash screen, main menu, settings, credits, game over, level 1, and then a const that is going to be levels. We'll just call it levels, and it can just be an array with all the levels in. And then the active scene index will stay at 1 for now. This basically just tells us where in the hierarchy from our scene manager are the scenes that we're loading in and out, because we might add some music controllers or other things between here and there, and you always want to be able to load in and out on that like final slot. So at the moment it's in index 1 because we've got one thing between the actual active scene and the scene manager. We've got the master shader, but we might have like a music controller node in there in the future. And then it would shunt everything down again. I had the biggest fry up today in the calf, like at lunch, like a couple hours ago. I can barely move, man. Okay. So really, let's call this scene and scene and scene and scene. Main menu. Okay. For now, restart current level, we'll just put pass in there. That works. And then for now, the main menu can have a script on it that's just going to be like a copy of the splash screen script. But we switch to level 1. Or switch to next level. That would be much smarter. So then in our scene manager here, we've got restart current level. We want one that's like switch to next level. And then in here we'll have a variable called current level, which by default will be set to 0. And then when we switch to next level, we'll say current level plus equals 1, which will mean that then it will be 1. Now this is a bit weird because obviously level 1 is index 0 in here. So maybe we'll keep sandbox in there for now. And sandbox can be like level 0 that we never use. Okay. Now this is silly. This is all... Is it silly? No, maybe it's not silly. Maybe it's fine. So, switch to next level. We add 1. And then the scene is going to be levels at the index current level. So we should arrive on level 1 now. If I press enter, main menu, enter, level 1. Fantastic. Fantastic. Now the screen shader thing, let's look at this again quickly. Let's have optimized grayscale for our default. Then the scene manager can have a little reference here to the screen shader, maybe like there, and then we can always just if current level is less than 6, screen shader dot set palette to that one. Elif. Elif. 11. Else. And then world 2. And we can change all this, but this is just setting up the thing. So now should be black and white, and then we get green when we go into level 1. That's pretty nice. But I'd like a splash screen at the start of each level. That was kind of a nice amount of polish in Gravity Boy as well. But maybe that could just be something, maybe that just could be a scene, like one singular scene that we like throw down before we do this. You know, we sort of intercept, we increment this thing, but then we intercept and we like instantiate another scene first, and then when that scene finishes, then we execute this, you know? Anyway, for now it's fine, it's flowing, which is the main thing. I've only got about 15 minutes before I have to go anyway now. Yeah, we may throw in the towel on this stream here at this juncture now. We've set up an awful good amount of this stuff. I think I really do want those splash screens. It was so simple, and that classic Game Boy font. We need to find that classic font, the same one we used in Gravity Boy. So I'll continue to set up some of this stuff this evening, and we can start banging out levels, really. All right, Sek, how you doing? The level design is missing, the part that makes the fun. Well, that's it. The level design's the next thing, isn't it? All the infrastructure's there now that we can start throwing levels in and testing the flow of the game. I guess we just need a way of saying, like, look, you know, if you've already reached, if this number gets to 16, if current level is 16, then switch to game over, else, like, continue with the actual swap, and then switch to game over can be a thing. And that'll just be this, but with game over in there. And back to that as well, I suppose. How are you, Sek? Anyway, you alright? I've had all the fun, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Now it's time for the player to have some fun. Well, this is it. So this evening I'm going to be streaming again. I've got a whole evening in this evening. So from about 8 p.m, which is what's the time now? It's nearly 3. So in about 5 hours, 5.5, 6 hours time, I will start streaming and we'll go for quite a while. You had to instantiate all the levels at the beginning. Wow, that's wild. And we can be a bit smart about this. If the current level so the size of this will be 16. So if the current level becomes greater than levels.size minus 1, then you switch to game over. We need now the plinth to call this function when it finishes. So for now, we'll just say func next level, and that will be get parent, which will be the level, get parent, which will be thing, switch to next level. Okay, and then the plinth has an animation, and when the animation finishes here, we could have a function call. Call method on plinth, insert key, next level gets called there. So now I think we should have a complete loop. Main menu, we get into the game, we put that down. When that gets to the bottom, next level gets called, and we go to game over. Wicked. And then game over could have a script, which for now will just be identical to the main menu script, which, well, in fact, what we really want is for it to be identical to the splash screen, because we want to switch back to the main. In fact, I'd probably quite like to switch to the splash. Switch to splash screen. And then a scene manager can have okay, so now we should have a complete loop. Splash, main menu, a level, the level finishes, and you get game over, and then you go back to the splash screen, then you go back to the main menu. Game over, splash, aha, aha, aha. So when we get to game over, current level goes back to 0, which will allow this to loop. Yay. Okay, wicked, 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 wicked. That is really green, huh? Yeah, maybe we'll do it a slightly less green palette for that one, but it's the jungle world, so you know. Alright, let's update our to-do list here. So none of these are done. And I'm going to add level specific splash screens. So we want to pop up and say like world 1 jungle level 1, like, and then the level starts just for like a second, but it just adds so much polish, and it gives the player a sense of an adventure they're about to go on. If it just starts and you're just on the screen, you know how long it's going to go on. If it says world 1 level 1, you're like, all right, we're in for a treat here, let's go, baby. scene manager script and level loading in and out is done, which means and the gameplay loop logic is all done. So that's wicked. So we've got the giant boulder for the last level. And we've got to lay out all the levels. So tonight's stream is going to be super fun because we're going to be making levels and we're going to be playing levels. So look out for that. Like I said, I'll be back in about 5 hours time. Big ups to everybody out there. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share, send me money, pay my bills, and I'll see you this evening. Like I say, in about 5 hours time, we will be back, and I'll maybe wear a colour that isn't green for that stream so that I'm not a floating head. So big up yourselves. Thanks for watching. Peace, peace, peace. See you soon.